Antonio. I am wearing my purple for National Coming Out Day, as was noted as well. It's the official color. And I do want you to know that in San Antonio, diversity and equity has become paramount in how we do things. In fact, the very first thing my husband signed when he became mayor last year was the Compassionate Act of San Antonio, which set out the rules for how he expected to be treated and how he expected to treat others as a public official. That is the kind of city that you have chosen to come and have your conference in. So thank you. As was stated before, it's all the allergies. Welcome to Texas. As was stated before, as many of you know, this is the second time that SACNAS has brought your annual conference to San Antonio. And it really gives me a great pleasure to have you here during our 300th anniversary as a city, our tricentennial. So while you're here, I really want to encourage you to get out and walk around, take advantage of some of the 300th tricentennial events that we've got, explore downtown, but also explore south of downtown, where our beautiful missions are and where our museums and cultures let you know who we are, a confluence of cultures, as they say. I believe we are a kind, gracious city, and we are very welcoming. In fact, we were the first city to sue our state when anti-diversity measures got on the floor. We were also the first city, thank you. We were also the very first city to start down the notion of creating an equity budget so that we could continue to give the resources needed to parts of town that were very much neglected over decades. And that happened last year. And this year, we were the first to pass an equity budget that helped with our housing and ensuring people can age in place. But more than that, we're also known to be one of the most friendly cities in San Antonio, or in Texas, because San Antonio is at the heart of Texas. So before I move forward, I do want to thank all of the people that are running around getting you food. Muchas gracias a los servidores que están aquí. Gracias por su dedicación y gracias por ayudarnos a tener un buen tiempo. Last but not least, I want to also very proudly say that San Antonio this summer was designated as one of 12 international STEM ecosystem communities by the International STEM Learning Ecosystem Initiative because of our efforts to build bridges between business, school, and in and out of school activities through our community organizations. And that we're very proud of as well. So let me jump into the remarks of thanking your leadership as well. Dr. Gonzalez and his executive team and the planning committee have done an incredible job over the past year to bring this conference to you and to San Antonio, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge them and the dedication and hard work as well. Thank you. Thanks to each of you as well for being here. You took time from your school, from your families and your careers, because you acknowledge that you're committed to a future and the future of colleagues and future students who will come after you to change the narrative that we see happening right now in our country. That narrative that we live with every day is not an accurate assessment of who we are. The most recent studies show that 6% of STEM workforces are comprised of Hispanics, only 6%, and 0.2% is comprised of Native Americans. Data also shows that most of tomorrow's workforce, however, will look like you, and that the jobs of the future will require some sort of post-secondary education, many in STEM fields themselves, which quite frankly means this. You need to start a revolution to change that narrative. You need to start a revolution now to ensure that the future of STEM and the future of our communities are represented the way they should be. Latinos are leaders. Native Americans are leaders. Quite frankly, as I look at it, everyone here at SACNAS is a leader. Thank you. But I'll make it clear that changing perceptions of what you're going to be capable of is not going to be easy. I know this firsthand because I grew up in a very small town in Texas, a little bit bigger than was mentioned earlier. But I was a migrant farm worker, and I'm very proud of that. My town, thank you to all of you who are migrant farm workers too, or are. It taught me resilience. It taught me a lot of things, but more importantly, it taught me that education, much like was discussed today, is a way in which you can pave your own future. Less than 12% of the people that graduate from my town really go on to get a degree. But because my family and I refused to have that storyline and that narrative define me, I did obtain the education you heard of. In my family, when you see an obstacle, you plan around it. When you see a hopeless situation, you break down the problems until they are achievable. And when you think you're not good enough yet, you defy expectations, much like science, I should say. I did see my family be undereducated, undercounted, and underrepresented, but I also saw them move forward, much like your families, I am sure, have as well. And that is what SACNAS is part of that storyline and what you do every day. By coming to this conference, for example, you have made the decision to stand up to false stereotypes of who you are, to not allow those stereotypes to define you or hold you back, and certainly not to dictate your future. You are here in San Antonio at this conference to challenge each other, to challenge our leaders, to ask the same questions every day until you get an answer. What will develop a robust and diverse competitive STEM workforce? What will it take to create leadership positions in those fields? And what will it take for you to finally see an accurate representation of my community? I saw a button earlier today that said science, not silence. And that is the great hope of SACNAS. Science, not silence from each of you. Because in everything that we do in our actions, we must ask over and over and over again without stopping until somebody listens and changes their idea of who we are. Dr. Carol Dweck, a very, very prominent neuroscientist who coined the idea of a growth mindset, does talk about how those small shifts in mindset can trigger a cascade of profound changes that tests limits. As you sit in your sessions today and over the next few days, whether you're exploring diversity or you're exploring career paths in science policy, or even energizing academic startups, and looking at government grants, I want you to encourage the idea of possibility and the two most powerful words she identified, the word yet and the word effort. In her mind, anytime a challenge is positioned or anytime you ask a question, you must add the word yet. Why are we not leaders yet? Why is that not funding there yet? Because this will not only change your mindset of what's possible, but it will start to change the mindset of those who are listening to you. And the second most powerful word, effort. Knowing full well that the long road ahead will require that from everyone in this room. Defying expectations requires those two words to be part of your vocabulary from now on. It also requires you to take your ideals, your passion, your creativity, and even your impatience and go out to make tomorrow better. You must push back. You must push back on everyone and everything that tries to define who you are and tries to tell you what cannot be done. Let's be honest, scientists are really good at that. So it should not be that hard for everyone in this room to push back. I want you to look at the bold minds around you that continue to look underneath, look just beyond the surface and ask why, how, what's there, how do we evolve? I want you to look at them and also see resilience, adaptation, challenges, and I want you to help each other create the answers that you need to be successful. The word tejas means friendly and ally. So I also want to thank you for being our ally, the city of San Antonio's ally, as we create our own revolution here, an evolution based on equity and promise. As you build the foundation for your future and my children's future, I want to thank you for the effort you're putting forth now. And I also want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for, quite frankly, just being who you are. You are leaders. You are leaders. You are leaders. Thank you.